So let's look at survival mode. Survival mode is a state of getting by and the fear of losing what we have and having barely enough. And you know what? I think it's easy to have that kind of feeling with things and not notice. Have you ever had that? Like you think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make any money this month, or where's it going to come from, or are the kids all right, or you know, what's happening with my relationships, with my friendship, my mental health. You know, you can feel like you're just trying to keep everything together and barely getting by. Sometimes the reason why we don't want to give, whether it's of our knowledge, our resources, our skills, our experiences, because we barely have enough, thinking, goodness, if I give this away, will more come, or will I lose more, or will I suffer if I give this away? And for me, that was one of the questions I had to ask myself when giving birth to TWIRL. What resources do I have? Energy levels? How will I be able to help people without burning out? What should that vision look like? How do I genuinely, authentically bless people and still maintain my resources? That's an authentic question. There's no sin in making sure you're managing your resources well. That's wisdom. But we want to get from a place of just barely getting by to being able to invest in others, to being able to pour into others. And that might be just from the knowledge that you have. Those little things that you know can make a big difference to somebody else. And that's why I think TWIRL is so important, because not only do we want to provide resources, we want to use the power of community to help make people shift from one thing to the other. I noticed that there was a constant state of deficit. So we're in a world that has fueled these conditions. So you've got news reports of wars, destructions, killings, pestilence, and there's all sorts of evil going on in the world. And we're reminded of things like the cost of living crisis, with very little help to move forward financially. So that's a big one for people. Society constantly reminds us that we need to strive to survive. And this reminder can be depressing, it can be stressful. And for me, I've looked around and I've got a sense that whether Christian or not Christian, people just don't feel like God is interested in their survival mode. But God cares about our state of surviving and our state of thriving. And that's why I believe that He highlighted this vision to me, to be able to help people harness the power of community to help people shift. You might not think it is a big deal to you, but you'd be surprised if you shared it with someone else, what they might think about what you have in your hands. The anchor scripture that we have for this conference is John chapter 10, verse 10, which says, I came that you might have life, and life more abundantly. And I believe 1,000% that that's not a partial promise. I don't think it's a haphazard thing. I don't think God's just saying, you know what, when you die, you're going to have abundant life. I believe that abundance of life can radiate from within you, regardless of your circumstance. And I believe that when you have thrive, your circumstance doesn't dictate to your thrive. I've had so many things happen in the last couple of weeks that should have dictated to my thrive, but I'm still standing here because I believe in the strength, that innate strength that God has placed within me, that comes from that thrive. You are thrive. You're thriving right now. There is thrive areas in you right now. We all have areas of survive that need tending to, that need nurture, that we need to pay attention to and invest in. And we have areas that we can use to deposit into someone else, to pour over, to overflow. So I believe that when you start trusting and walking in that promise, specially catered to you, your decisions will change, your outlook will change, and your world will change. But you have to understand that it starts with you. It starts with you. You are TWIRL.